Welcome to Drawfee, where we take your dumb ideas
and make even dumber drawings.
I'm Jacob.
I'm Nathan.
I'm Karina.
And I'm Julia.
And we're going back in time
Whoa.
to the era known as anime history.
Wow. So long ago that was.
It's anime history coming back as per your request, specifically voted on by the Patreon audience. Thank you very much for the Patreon supporters. We've each picked a historical figure to talk about, and we've done a speed draw of them in an anime-esque style. Mm-hmm. And we're gonna teach you a little something maybe here today.
I love history.
Nathan, do you wanna go first?
I want to go first.
Why don't you tell us a little bit about what you did?
So I chose a fella by the name of Marie-Antoine Carême.
All right.
Pronunciation.
Yeah, it was pretty good.
Thank you. It's, a Frenchman. Many consider to be the original celebrity chef.
Oh. I'm into it. Should we go ahead and get it started?
Yeah, let's get it started. I'll tell you about this guy.
All right. 3, 2, 1, go.
I just wanted to do a history about someone who didn't do any war stuff.
Sure.
Yeah.
He did, and what's the opposite of war is eating.
Yes.
And so I Googled a bunch of like culinary history lists, and this guy kept popping up on all of them. And so of course I went with a JoJo style because he's a fancy French patisserie guy.
Mm-hmm.
So let me tell you about him. Born in 1784 to a poor family in France, was abandoned at age 10.
Oh no!
During the height of the French Revolution.
I was about to say, does them's be revolution times?
Yeah, gets his first job working as a kitchen boy at a Parisian chop house at age 10. By age 14, he becomes formally apprenticed to Sylvain Bailly, who is a famous patissier with a shop near the Palais Royal. And he starts making a name for himself. He starts making these real elaborate patisserie sculptures that they put in the shop's window. And he's just getting a lot of attention from all the nobility going around seeing his stuff. By the time he's 19, he opens his own patisserie shop. And he gets the attention of this French diplomat named Charles Maurice de Talleyrand Périgord.
Oh yeah, I love that guy.
He's a big name, yeah.
And so this dude, he's like impressed by this kid, and so he gets some money from Napoleon to make this chateau in the French countryside, sort of like a diplomatic like meeting zone. And so he takes Carême with him to be his like chef there, and he issues him a challenge, which is to create an entire year's worth of menus, never repeating a menu for the entire year.
I'd be like, no.
Which feels like such a like anime thing.
Yeah, really.
Yeah, Gauntlet.
There's definitely a Food Wars season about this.
Yeah.
and he freaking does it. He nails it. And after that, he's like set. He bounces around for all sorts of different nobility, working as a private chef for various folks. Briefly, even the Tsar of Russia, although I think he never actually cooks anything for the Tsar of Russia. He just like goes over there for a little bit.
Do you think he had a day where he was just like, oh God, I don't know what I want to do for November 14th. This is salad day. That's it. This is salad.
just
you just
big
get in the salad.
But yeah, like he's credited with a lot of stuff with regards to French cuisine. He's credited as the inventor of the toque chef's hat.
Oh, that's big.
And like I'm sure other like he's not the first person to wear a hat as a chef, but like he liked to wear like a real tall one.
He was also the inventor of his namesake, Carême Fresh.
Hey.
Oh my God.
Well,
Yeah.
But well, I'm glad you mentioned that, because he did extrapolate I read this and was like, this also sounds very anime. The four mother sauces.
Oh, yes.
That's his power.
So that's what I've got in the background here, the four mother sauces.
Do you know what the four mother
What are
sauces
they?
are?
Say them.
Yeah, it's hold on, I got them written down.
Everything was peaceful until the pasta sauce attacked.
Until Mayonnaise Town attacked.
Until mayonnaise attacked.
No.
It's Espanol, which is the brown one. Velote, which is that like orangey one. It's like a clear stock-based sauce. Allemande, which is like a and again, apologies for the pronunciation.
No, it was pretty good actually.
Which is similar to the velote, but thickened with egg and flavored with lemon. And then bechamel, which is a cream sauce. And I think later on, Chef Auguste Escoffier decided that there were actually 5 mother sauces, and that Allemande is a secondary sauce.
It's a daddy sauce.
To the velote. And so they remove Allemande and add tomato and hollandaise as mother sauces instead. But the 4 that Carême came up with are the 4 I've depicted here.
That's awesome.
In this image. And just, it's a cool, fancy chef man. And he's famous for making elaborate sculptures out of patisserie. So I gave him a bread sword because why not? It's
Beautiful.
anime.
Yeah.
It's anime history. We can take some liberties.
I will say that, just a fun aside, Allemande is the word for German, so it's just a German sauce.
Well, yeah, and one of them is Espanol, so
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess they just named them after places. Real creative with the sauce names.
Yeah.
And
this rules.
then at the very end, I realize I have the shading on the chef's hat coming from the wrong side. So
It's the power of the mother sauce.
yeah.
It casts its own light, its own beautiful glow.
So there's Carême, anime Carême, my fancy French chef boy.
Heck
That's
yeah.
so fun.
That
I love
rules.
it.
So cool.
I'm so glad to learn. I love fancy chef
I love
men,
these
so.
sauces.
I love these sauces. Great work, Nathan. Also, I suspect this will make a very powerful thumbnail image, so I thank you. I thank you for that.
Oh, you're quite welcome.
Okay, I'm going to go next. I will say out the gate, I decided to do like a little comic for this one. I was just in the mood to do it.
Hell yeah.
I was feeling
Ambitious.
like doing a comic because I wanted to get like a certain like shonen comic vibe. So it's mostly just like my style, but I was just in the mood, so that's what I did.
Hell yeah.
And I did a woman named Gertrude Benham, and she was an English explorer and mountaineer in the early 1900s, when it was uncommon for a woman to be doing that sort of stuff. And not only did she do it, but she did it better than pretty much anyone else could have done it. So I'll get into it, and then I'll tell you about her. 3, 2, 1, go. Okay, so Gertrude Benham, the thing that I think is the most impressive to me is that she didn't even do any of this stuff until she was like an adult older than us.
Wow.
Like she took care of her parents in their old age, and then their parents died. And she was 36, and she was like, all right, I'm out. And she just like went out and became a famous mountaineer and explorer at 36.
Hell yeah.
Things she was known for, she climbed at least 300 peaks over 10,000 feet tall, and she circumnavigated the globe 7 times.
Damn.
Largely on foot.
Wow.
She like walked the entirety of Africa.
Damn.
That's a lot. That's a lot of steps.
Yeah. And she has kind of this whole history of like doing things and then making male explorers pissed off. A couple of stories
well, like,
that
the existence of women kind of pissed off male explorers for
Yes.
a while, so
My favorite thing is that the first thing she did when she set out to explore, she went to Canada because she was enticed by advertisements promoting the Rocky Mountains. When she arrived, she had set her sights on the Valley of the 10 Peaks in Alberta, and one of the toughest peaks there was called Mount Fay, which was named for Charles Fay, an American mountaineer who had not actually climbed it yet. But he was like...
He just called dibs.
I want the
he called
confidence of
dibs.
that man to be like, yeah, I'll get to it, but name it after me anyway.
He was actually going to do it at the same time she arrived there, but he failed to do it, and she took a different route and succeeded.
Oh, damn.
So he found out she had already done it and got mad, and he was like, well, fine, I won't name that one after me. I'll name the second highest one after me. But she had already climbed that one too.
Amazing.
Brutal.
Then the thing she's possibly the most known for, and what I'm depicting here in this little comic, she was the first woman to summit Kilimanjaro, and also the first like European in general to summit Kilimanjaro. She went to go do it. It was considered one of the most treacherous of any climbs because of sudden blizzards that could happen. And when she went to go do it, she passed a unit of German soldiers that warned her. They said, and I quote, that it had not been completed by any Britisher, man or woman, and very seldom by anyone else. But she decided to do it anyway. She went with some local guides. And the local guides, when they passed a heap of skeletons on the way up, the local guides said, no, we're not going to continue. And she was like,
to see a skeleton, let alone a heap.
let alone
Yeah.
a heap. But she was like, well, I'm going to keep going anyways. So the guides turned back and she kept going and reached the top and climbed to the top of Kilimanjaro. And she was also like notoriously modest. So this is possibly why she didn't receive like a lot of historical praise, because she just did this stuff and then people just like found out later that she had done it.
Her first 12 peaks were that of meringues.
What?
Whenever you make a meringue, you want a stiff peak. That's when you know the meringue's ready.
No, Nathan's was the cook. She's an explorer.
Yeah, we're on a different one now.
She has nothing to do with meringue.
You said it so confidently.
I'm trying to learn from that dude.
Oh yeah, it's just like, this mountain's mine. I'll climb it someday.
This joke is good. I'm going to say it.
Peaks of meringues.
Anyways, to finish up her story, her last expedition was in 1935. Her plan was to take one last trip around the globe. Imagine saying that. I'm going to do one last trip around the whole globe.
Victory
After
lap.
doing it 7 times already.
Yes. And then she was going to settle down on Britain's south coast. But during that journey, she died aboard a ship off the coast of East Africa.
Someone pushed her.
No one knows like how she died.
Someone pushed her. That dude, Faye, was like, I'm tired of your shit.
Yeah, I'm going to get on this boat and I'm going to push you. You and your meringues.
If it was the anime, she met some aliens who were like, you really want to come explore? We got some stuff for you to explore.
Oh, yeah, and she went to space.
Hell yeah.
In this comic here, I wanted to depict the moment where the German soldier told her to turn back, and she was like, nah.
No.
And you'll see I saved the dialogue for the very end because I didn't want to give away my anime ass dialogue until it was done. But
This is so good.
thank you.
Clean inks.
I really liked how the sort of character art turned out. I thought it was very charming looking.
I didn't mention how my guy died because it's kind of a bummer. But since you mentioned yours death,
Pushed off a boat by Faye.
my guy died because of all of the toxic fumes he inhaled from working charcoal burning stoves for his entire career.
That is a bummer.
Crap. Well, sorry, bud.
But he's remembered, his legacy lives on.
Yeah.
That's what's important. So I'm adding in the dialogue now. You can see the German soldier saying what he said for real. It says, ma'am, you need to turn back. This peak has never been climbed by any Britisher man or woman, and very seldom by anyone else. And so I have her saying, fine by me. I'm not like anyone else.
Nice.
Damn.
She has the power of friendship and anime on her side.
Yeah.
I think she didn't have the power of friendship because she was like notoriously a loner. Like she never married. She never had any real like
You
relationships.
got no time for that when you climb in peaks.
I know,
Yeah.
but she was like, she just liked to go out on her own into nature and explore stuff. That
Hell
was
yeah,
her
get
whole
a girl
thing.
For her.
And at the time too, that was like for a woman to be like, I'm
Yeah.
36. I'm not going to get married. I'm just going to go climb mountains for the rest of my life. Like you got to be brave to.
The only place I can outrun misogyny is running away from it constantly
Yeah.
on a mountaintop.
It'll never catch me. So just add a little action lines there and then
Jacob, this is
Yeah,
so
it's
cool.
rules.
So cool.
thank you. I hadn't done a comic in so long since I worked for College Humor because I think I burned myself out
Yeah.
on comics pretty bad, but it was really fun to do this. It kind of made me remember why it's fun to do like comic stuff.
Yeah.
So thank you, Gertrude Benham, for reminding me why comics are fun.
Thank you, Gertrude.
Thank you.
But yeah, this is it for me, and that means it's Karina's time next.
My time. I also didn't do in a particular style. It's my style. I'm a professional artist too. I'm
Yeah.
doing it in my style. And I did Balto, the dog.
Yeah.
Yeah, we love the dog.
Yeah.
Love the dog.
Do you want me to just jump right into it?
Yeah, let's go.
Alrighty. 3, 2, 1, go.
So, December 1924 through January 1925, there was this big diphtheria outbreak in Nome, Alaska. Little secluded, I guess, town. They had one doctor, and this doctor discovered that they were just like out of the antitoxin to help treat this outbreak. And so they had to find a way to like get a delivery in before it starts spreading and just killing everyone in this tiny little town. So but the problem is it was like winter, so everything was like covered in ice, ports were closed, they couldn't like fly in anything. So they were able to get some antitoxin they found some in Anchorage, Alaska, and were able to get it to Nenana, but they still had 674 miles so to like deliver it, and they had no way of doing it other than sled dog.
Yes.
So they set up this relay consisting of like 20 teams of mushers and dogs, and they were going to like bring the serum to the town, and they had to like do it really fast or else the serum would go bad due to like the really harsh weather conditions, because this is like dead of winter in Alaska. It was like as cold as like negative 62 Fahrenheit,
No.
negative 52 Celsius. Very cold, scary cold. And so we all know Balto from the fucking animated movie where he's voiced by Kevin Bacon. But there wasn't only one team doing this relay like in the movie. It was 20, and a lot of it was covered by a different team. There was this guy, Leonard Seppala, and he was like this really esteemed dog breeder and racer, and he held like world records. So he covered most of the route because he started in Nome and then picked up the serum like part of way in, and his route included 2 passes over this shortcut over the Norton Sound, which is this big body of water that's like frozen over, and it saves a day of travel, but it's like constantly moving and the ice can break at any moment, like submerging you in just freezing water in the middle of this giant thing of water.
Yeah.
So that was just very dangerous. And yeah, he had to cross it twice, and he did successfully. And I'm reading my fucking notes. And the wind chill was really cold. It was, I paused because my roommates made food and offered me some. My bad.
It was so perfectly timed with your pause and your story.
Yeah, it said
That was
anyway right on
incredible.
screen.
But yeah, this route also included wind chill as cold as negative 85 degrees Fahrenheit. And they couldn't rest because they were on such a short time to like deliver this before it went bad. And right at the end, they also had to do a grueling 8-mile climb up a summit.
Oh my God.
And this team was led by Togo. It's not Balto. Balto was the dog that led the team that did the final 2 legs of the delivery. So it went like Seppala and Togo did like 200, how how many miles? 260 miles of this like 670 something mile route. And then they passed it off to this other guy, Charlie Olson, who then did a few more miles and then passed it off to Gunnar Kassen. And then Kassen had to there was a blizzard, and even though he didn't have the longest leg, it was still a really dangerous leg because the blizzard would not stop. So he had to set out in the middle of a blizzard. He had no visibility, and he had to count on Balto's sense of smell and direction to just lead him because he couldn't see even the dogs closest to him. He actually, his sled flipped at one point due to the incredibly strong winds, and he lost the cylinder of the serum in the snow, and he had to search for it with his bare hands. And yeah, it's a really exciting story because it sounds completely unreal, but they did it. They even got there a little early because Balto's team wasn't supposed to arrive, or they weren't supposed to do the last leg of the race, but they arrived kind of early, and the guy who was supposed to do it was still asleep. So instead, he just kept going and delivered the last leg. And they were able to get those anti-serums there in time, treat the people that were already suffering, and there were no more reported deaths.
That rules.
That's
Hell yeah.
awesome.
And so in the aftermath, a lot of Balto was the one who got a lot of the fame because it was the one that delivered the final leg of the did the final leg, so it delivered the serum. So even though Togo was the dog who led most of it, Balto was the one who was famous and probably got more celebrated, got a whole Kevin Bacon movie, got a statue in Central Park. Although technically the statue is dedicated to all of the dogs and mushers, it is of Balto. But and the guy who owned Togo was kind of upset about this. But I'd argue that Togo went on to live the better life. But yeah, and so my concept was a sports anime, and this is Balto and Togo. They were rivals.
Which one's Balto and which one's Togo?
Balto's the shorter one, because he was younger. So, and then Togo is the one, he's kind of banged up because he was doing all the harsh runs.
They're both so cute. They're so dreamy.
I love your decision to make them dog boys.
Yeah, because it's a sports anime, and I like to think that their coaches put a lot of pressure on them to be better and competitive, but at the end of they're rivals, but at the end of the day they're helping people, so you know they're winning.
Wow.
And they're friends in my mind.
It was so hard to remain silent
Yeah.
at the beginning because the instant you started drawing this, I was I'm going to freak out. I'm about to lose my freaking mind about these dog boys.
Didn't want to interrupt you.
I was talking about history. You could have cut in at any time.
No, I was saving it for the end when I could be hype.
This was such a treat. Oh my god, they're so cute.
This is my sports anime Balto.
This is amazing. Awesome job, Karina.
Yeah, and Togo. Never forget Togo.
Never forget. Togo is important.
I won't forget Togo.
Wasn't even in the Kevin Bacon movie. Although I discovered in doing this that there is a Togo movie now.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah,
Good.
So good for him.
Good for Togo.
Good for Togo.
Yeah. Really, really did so much, but they both did, and they were both crucial.
Neither movie has as good
Yeah.
of character designs as these.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This should be the next animated version of Balto. This is my pitch to whoever wants it.
Yeah. Please.
Absolutely.
Yes. So this is anime Balto.
Hell yes. Julia,
Me.
are you ready to do yours?
Yeah. I didn't write down notes for mine, so whoopsies. But I did watch 2 documentaries about my person yesterday, and also I should say that I should have done what Karina and Jacob did, which is draw it in my style, but I did it in anime style, which we know that I hate doing and I'm not very good at, but I wanted to reference sort of like a classic look anime since we're doing like a history thing. So I based my designs off of the Super Dimension Fortress Macross movie.
Cool.
Yes. So it's
big
like an
80s.
80s. It's an 80s throwback.
Yay.
The animation in it is beautiful. I suggest everyone look it up on YouTube later. But the character that I did, and it felt like cheating to do her because she's wonderful. She is black, bi-icon, French resistance supporting, entertainer, jazz icon, Josephine Baker.
Woo.
Yeah.
Yeah. So let's get into it.
All right. 3, 2, 1, go.
All right. So Josephine Baker was born in the early 1900s. She was born in Missouri. Like I said, she is a black woman. She wanted to do dance. So when she was a kid, she would try to start her career by kind of doing like street dancing. Unfortunately, she was in the early 1900s of America, Missouri. She was black. So she wasn't very well received because of racism, unfortunately.
I've heard of it.
Yeah, we may have heard of it. And so she tried to launch her career here. She went to New York. She tried to launch a career in Harlem. It just wasn't working. It wasn't fitting her. She wanted to do her career her way. She didn't want to do sort of like the sort of pigeonholed sort, racist jobs that she would be like allowed to do. So she went to France to try to launch her career, and they went crazy about her. They absolutely loved her off the bat. They loved everything she did. They were absolutely obsessed. Her shows like sold out constantly. And she designed all of her dances, all of her costumes, all of these things. And she absolutely loved France. So she was having a great time. She was very successful for years and years and years. And at some point, she tried to come back to New York because they were like, oh, you're really popular over there. But they wouldn't let her go through the front door at the place that had hired her, like the venue. So she was like, okay, I'm never coming back. Yeah. So she went back to France, renounced her American citizenship because France was so excited that she was back that they threw like a parade for her. They had this whole parade. They had a whole party for her because they loved her so much. She did a lot of, so the reason that she was so successful in France, part of the reason was that she always had these pretty like controversial dances. She became like the icon of the jazz age because she did all of these like very loose like swing dances, like the Charleston, and that had like never been seen before. So, it was controversial because it was so like, quote unquote sexual. Mm-hmm. It was so like wild, wild looking. And France was very embedded in like ballet and things like that. So this was something that was totally different. And they thought it was like such a cool new art that was being brought. So they were really excited to see, something new. And they just genuinely really liked her. They even liked the fact that she like tried to speak French, but wasn't very good at it yet. They just loved that. They were like, cool. Yeah. We love that you want to be French. You are French now. Welcome. So she said, she has a quote where she said that she has two loves, her country and Paris, her country being France. So she also like dated whoever she wanted. She dated women, she dated men, and she was very public about it. She married a bunch of dudes a bunch of times, and she just like wildly married and divorced like whenever she wanted. She got like a baby cheetah as a pet. She like kind of just did whatever. And she was just like, I have freedom here to be who I want to be, so I'm going to embrace it. And French women loved that because they were like, we want to be Josephine Baker.
We want to be who you want to be.
So they were like, she had this hairstyle, and French women were like, they so desperately wanted to be like Josephine Baker that there were all these articles of like, how does she get her hair? There was like a theory that she shaved her head and then she had this beautifully sculpted like wig every time. So French women started to do that. Like if you look up Jazz Age posters, it's usually based off of Josephine Baker. So she had a really successful career in France. And and she was super rich. She was actually the best paid entertainer in all of Europe at the time.
Wow.
Yeah, which is super cool. And then World War II started, and she retreated to one of her houses in the country. But she was known by basically all politicians around the world. Like, everyone loved her. She was world renowned. So the French government contacted her and asked if she would support the French resistance war effort. And she said, absolutely. So she gave her house as a base for the spy network, for the very beginnings of the spy network, before it was even established. And she would write in invisible ink on her sheet music, like things that she heard from parties, because she would attend parties of like people, like politicians from like the Axis powers, like Japan. She attended with them. She attended with the Germans. And she would write all the information that she would glean from those meetings and send it to the French officials. And she used to write secret messages and then hide it in her underwear because
No one's getting in there.
No one's getting in there because she's a celebrity. Like, they're not gonna strip her, make sure she didn't have anything on her. They just let her go because they loved her so much. So then she would pass that information. In France, she's the most highly decorated American buried in France.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah. So eventually she was allowed back to America, she went back to America to do some performances, but because of like Jim Crow laws, she wasn't having a great time. I'll say that. But she kind of like broke those barriers a little bit, and people loved her. She was still having like a really hard time in America with all that, but she kind of like never really stayed here because she always felt mistreated.
Yeah. Understandable.
Yeah, absolutely. But when the civil rights movement kicked up, she was one of like the key people of the civil rights movement. And she was supposed to kind of like replace Martin Luther King as like the head speaker for the movement. But she said for the safety of her family, she didn't want to do that. So she went back to America. She went back to France, and she stayed there until she died. She had 12 children that she adopted from 12 different countries of the world to show that everyone can get along. And yeah, she just lived a really rad life of doing what she wanted and fighting for what she thought was right and what is right. And
badass.
She's just like a really cool lady.
This is a really cool drawing.
Yeah.
Like, you started this off by saying you hate drawing in the anime style and aren't good at it, and then you busted this out.
Yeah,
Like,
really suits it.
Thanks.
yeah, this is so good.
I did a little nod to the Macross logo with the baker at the bottom. But yeah, it's anime styles are very hard for me if they're not like JoJo. But
Well, yeah, you did a great job.
She has
Thank you.
Joe in her name.
She does.
She could be a JoJo.
I should have done that. But yeah, Josephine Baker rules.
Well, this has been the comeback of anime history.
Yeah.
We should definitely do more of these.
Yeah.
I think it's super fun and super interesting. So if you liked this, let us know in the comments other historical figures you might like to see us cover.
Yeah.
And we'll do that in the future. Also, if you want the chance to vote on episodes like this, you can support Drawfee on Patreon. And every month, if I remember on time, we have a poll for what kind of episode people want to see next. And this was one of those votes. So that's why this came out as soon as it did, because people showed up and voted for it. So thanks to everyone on the Patreon.
I'm so glad it did.
Yeah.
I love to learn.
You got to show up to those polls.
Show up to the polls. It's important. And if you like Drawfee in general, maybe you can't support the Patreon, or even if you can support us for free by clicking that like, clicking that subscribe,
hitting the bell,
and shouting the word Drawfee out the window as loud as you can.
Yeah.
Yep.
We're listening.
We'll hear it.
One shout equal one good.
Yeah.
One shout equal one good. We're sorry.
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 Sorry.